Yesterday, Aviz Networks announced that they are adding support for NVIDIA Spectrum-X networking to their Open Networking Enterprise suite. ONES or ones on that one? This allows Aviz to continue to support AI workloads in the networking platforms. Ones was designed to run networking fabrics for AI workloads, and seeing adoption of NVIDIA's premier AI networking technology is a sign that the industry will be quickly adopting the NVIDIA approach. This news comes ahead of the NVIDIA GTC conference later this month, where the integration is expected to be shown by Aviz. Is networking really that important to AI, and is NVIDIA Spectrum-X the standard?
Well, it's quickly looking like it might be. I had a chance to sit down with Vishal Shukla at Aviz and kind of talk through some of this stuff. And it's fascinating to see the way that things are stacking up. Because if you may recall, last week we talked about the fact that Cisco announced that they're going to be announcing support for running Spectrum-X in their switches on top of Cisco silicon. You may also know that Aviz Networks has partnered with Cisco to run their operating system on top of Cisco silicon, as well as on top of Spectrum-X. Do you see how the things are all kind of lining up together? This is one of the things that has me so excited about this industry, is that you have to find things that are useful to the industry and build on them. And Viz did that because they have landed on Sonic. Almost everybody in the networking industry knows that Sonic is an open source operating system created initially by Microsoft, but kind of shepherded now by the consortium to really create effectively like a baseline, right? So think of it like a Linux for the switch, even though yes, there is Linux for switches. This is really starting to drive innovation, and one of the things that Aviz has kind of staked their claim to is this ability to run that operating system along with their management framework on just about anybody's hardware. I mean, it's a great way to look at it, and there's no bigger market out there right now than NVIDIA running Spectrum-X, right? Like that's one of the things I talked about last week. Now, if you'll remember when I mentioned it last week, my first thought was, oh, well, that's kind of neat. Maybe this is kind of the tacit admission from NVIDIA that you're not going to be able to break into Cisco only networks with hopes of putting these things down there. And if that had been the only announcement, that's probably where I would have stayed. But this makes it a little bit more interesting, because if they're opening this up to a partner like Aviz to be able to run their ONES on top of Spectrum-X, that means that they're really kind of focusing on the hardware. And what they're really wanting is other companies to kind of innovate on top of that and to bring that forward to create those kinds of integrations. And that's a big deal, because I don't know if you've ever tried to build out an AI network, but it's not easy. Even with you having all of the components and things from a company like NVIDIA, because Spectrum-X uses Bluefield DPUs, it uses custom ASICs from NVIDIA, it uses NVLink to get everything running together. Spectrum-X, of course, is the Ethernet technology, but you're going to be building on that. You're not going to be building on bog standard Ethernet. And I think that that's an important thing that people need to understand here. But I think what we're going to see down the road is getting these things to be more compatible with each other. And that's an important point, because when I was talking to Vishal, one of the things he mentioned was that during NVIDIA GTC, they're actually going to be doing a plug fest. They're going to have people say, well, if you don't believe that Sonic works, bring your stuff and come on in here and let's get it plugged in and let's make sure that it all fits together. And I think that that honestly is refreshing. It goes back to the days of interop, right? Where it's like, we are going to get all this stuff to talk to each other, and there's not going to be any weirdness, and the protocols are going to work, and the proof's in the pudding, right? We need more of that. I think that that is something that's super valuable to the industry, and I applaud Aviz for jumping out there and doing it. So make sure that you check them out if you're at NVIDIA GTC, and stay tuned, because something tells me there's going to be some more news on the horizon that we're definitely going to be covering here on the Rundown.